Hi there, and welcome to Naturally Recovering Autism. I am your host, Karen Thomas, and I want to thank you so much for being here and being a proactive parent and getting the resources that you need to let your child live their most fulfilling and independent life possible. When my own son was diagnosed with autism, I was told to drug him and try behavioral therapies, and there was nothing else that we could do for him but manage his symptoms the rest of his life. But I didn't want to do that. Fortunately, my background in craniosacral therapy of now 30 years let me know that the brain can and does heal, but I didn't know that much about autism. What I did know is that I didn't want to just mask the symptoms with dangerous drugs. I wanted to find the causes and work with them naturally. And fast forward, it took me a decade and a lot of time and effort, but today my son is no longer diagnosable with autism after being told it could not happen. So I'm here to share with you valuable resources to save you the time and some of the expense that I had to spend to figure it out, and to help you let your child lead to their best results possible. Every child's level of recovery is different, but we know that children who couldn't sleep through the night are sleeping now through the night and happily. Their immune systems are now strong where they were once sick all the time. Children who were nonverbal and their parents were told they could never speak are now speaking. Children who were getting D's and F's in school are getting A's and B's. And those that were so anxious all the time and couldn't sit still and were uncomfortable in their own bodies are now calm and happy and relaxed. And they're leading fulfilling and independent lives with friends. This is what we want for our kids. So I'm here to share the resources with you so that you can get the best results for your child, the best possible. And you can start that right now with my free download of the top 7 foods to eliminate beginning today, of the top foods that are the most inflammatory and toxic that are contributing to those physical and behavioral symptoms of autism that your child is having. They're making his life uncomfortable. So you can get that right now at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7 foods. And feel free to share that with anybody you know who would be interested. And I will also link to it in today's show notes. There's, of course, a lot more than diet, but this is something you could start doing today that will begin to reduce those symptoms. And I'm happy to share everything I can with you. So right now, let's dive into today's episode.
Hi there, and welcome back once again. Thank you for being here. I have some really valuable information to share with you today that I think is going to help you on your journey, or I really do hope that it does. There are a lot of times when we as parents are taking our child through a detoxification protocol or process, whether it's with a doctor or things we've learned online or researched on our own. But there are so many missing caveats that are so important to know when you're doing that, that can be helpful to not only the results that you're going to get for your child, but also to get far smoother transition. So this is how to stabilize during detoxification for that smoother journey in autism recovery. And really what we know is, what's easier to follow, a zigzag or a straight line? Well, of course, it's a straight line. So in our autism recovery journey, we want to zigzag around often because we're looking for answers from various practitioners and therapists and internet searches, and then purchasing random supplements that we've heard about, but we really don't know how to use properly. And this all makes such a difference in the outcome that you will get, but also in the safety of the process, which is very, very important. Detoxification, while it's really essential for health and recovery, can be very, very challenging. And our children with autism are extremely sensitive. They're more sensitive than anyone I've ever seen in any type of background with autoimmune issues, even because they are so loaded with toxins and they have co-infections and other things going on that if we go too quickly, we can throw them into a much worse scenario. And I'm going to cover some of that here today. So here are some strategies that are going to help you to stabilize during the process for that smoother journey and a far better outcome in your autism recovery process. First of all, you want to seek guidance from someone who has knowledge about the specifics of autism, not just a general practitioner or somebody who, knows a little bit, or let's try this or that. So after a decade of research and a lot of implementation to find out what worked with my own son, that today my son's symptoms of autism are gone. And this is even after those so-called experts told me that it wasn't possible. And what I found was that they really didn't know what to do. They missed many of the important pieces. And it's so important for you to know that you want to have a guide that has personally lived through it with success, because I think that that is as important as them knowing what to do, but all of what to do. Have a specific plan that is unique to autism. Again, not just a generalized plan. There are very unique issues and sensitivities involved in autism recovery, and we cannot assume that every professional knows what to do. In fact, on my own journey with my son, I found doctors really didn't know what to do, so I had to begin researching on my own. I was losing so much time and so much money just running in circles. Maybe something would work a little bit, but not that much. And I think, well, what else is there to do? Or are we utilizing these products the right way? And, there were so many other pieces that I found out later were so important and being missed. And have a step-by-step roadmap to follow. Having that roadmap avoids having so much wasted time and expense. We all go through it to get our child's needs met, but we see one practitioner for one thing, another for something else. No one seemed to have it all in one place or any complete guide. This was my finding and is the finding for so many parents that I've now worked with. And there can be so many missing pieces. And this ends in little to no results for you getting with your child, and exhaustion for you as a parent. You think, is this ever really going to help my child? Will anything really work? Have I done everything already that needs to be done? I think that I have, because I've been doing this for 10 or more years, and not that much has worked. Well, I have worked with parents who have found that they get results when they follow my roadmap, but haven't in even 20 years prior of detoxification. So that tailored detox plan, considering the needs specific to autism, is crucial. Be sure your roadmap has a solid foundation for detoxification. You don't want to just throw a child, anybody, but a child with autism, into a big detox right away without stabilizing first. You have to know what you're doing, and also what you're doing needs to be done safely. Detoxification pathways in the body must be stabilized and supported with various supplements. One thing I always start off first with in my programs are toxin binders to help sop up the extra toxins as you begin detoxification, because our kids are already backed up with such a high toxic load and other infections and inflammation going on in the body and in the brain that are causing their symptoms. These are the underlying causes of symptoms, that their liver is so congested, which is the organ of detoxification. So we need to support these things first. We need to have those binders in place to make sure that the body has additional assistance, because when we start doing any detoxification, what happens is that more toxins are released to get out of the body or detoxified, right? As we're doing that, it increases the toxic load in the blood and in the body as the body is trying to excrete them, but it can't usually do it fast enough on its own, because, again, the organs of detoxification aren't working properly, the detox pathways aren't working properly, and they need support along the way. So their toxic load is extremely high, and not only in their body, but their gut is so ill that it has to be stabilized and strengthened first for safety as well. Otherwise, your child can get much, much worse. And I'm going to be talking about what something called die-off here in a moment, which many of you have been following me for a while have heard, but some people don't understand it or need to know about it more thoroughly. You definitely, most importantly, with a child with autism, want to move forward very, very slowly. I really can't emphasize this enough. I know parents get eager to get results faster, so they will often override the need to go slowly, thinking, well, if I just give more, or then it'll work faster, or this will be better. But especially for children with autism, we need to begin a new supplement at as little as 1 drop if it's a liquid, or a sprinkle if it's a powder. And you want to do this for about 3 days at that level as you watch them for symptoms of worsening behaviors like losing sleep, reduction in speech, increased and worsening emotional behaviors, anger, aggression, fever, rash, anything else physically or emotionally that you notice that increases. That is a sign of a die-off symptom, which means even that very low dosage needs to be reduced for a couple of days, let the body catch up, and then resume again at that little drop or sprinkle as you watch. And it sometimes is that 1 step forward, 2 step back feeling, but that's okay. We have to go at your child's pace. You need to follow that. Know what die-off symptoms look like and when to slow down. If any symptoms arise at all, then you do want to reduce those dosages, wait for those symptoms to subside before starting again. And this again can feel like you're going slowly, but it's one of those things where you go slowly to go fast. It may be a slow process, but it very well needs to be this slow because you're still making progress. You have to remember that the cells of their body, all the way down to a cellular level, are loaded with toxins. And as those toxins are freed from the cells, it has to be a slow and gentle process. And we can't do too much too quickly, or you're going to see extreme behaviors and your child can get much worse. So this is actually done faster than if you go too fast in the real wrong fast way, and then have to stop everything because your child's gone into a severe die-off reaction, or what's called a PANS flare, where the immune system actually starts attacking the tissues of the brain, and you see extreme OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, clinginess, fearfulness, heightened stimming, just it really heightened increased behaviors. The immune system has become so overactive and these symptoms become excessive. And then it can take a little longer even to get back to, just that stable line to resume again. So you want to make sure that you're just doing one new thing at a time, never add in more than one new thing, with a minimum of about 3 days in between. And that's only going on further to either increasing very slightly of a dosage you're already on, or of adding in something new at its very, very minimal possible dose. And as you do that, you're watching for symptoms. Again, if any symptoms arise, you back off and slow down again. Hydration. Drinking plenty of water helps flush out toxins and prevents dehydration. Water must be from a pure water source with a quality water filter. Never ever drink unfiltered tap water. It's loaded with as many as 300 toxic chemicals. No matter what your community says that they're doing to purify your water, it is not enough. Hydration also helps the body to flush out toxic waste from those cells and can assist with reducing the effects of detoxification and die-off reaction. So that's very important to keep your child as well hydrated as possible. You may have known this even for yourself, that you might sometimes get a headache if you're dehydrated. Well, that is a sign of those cells needing hydration. Something else that is commonly overlooked are the needs for electrolytes to balance the intake and maintain energy levels and proper body function. Now, minerals, including trace minerals, are actually very essential in helping to hydrate the cells, because often we are drinking water, but our body is so demineralized, our food just doesn't have in it what it needs anymore, our soil is depleted, we don't get what we need anymore just from food. And so our children, especially children with autism, are very, very depleted, especially in vitamins and minerals. So minerals, trace minerals especially, are really helpful in hydrating those cells to help flush out the toxins. It's helping the water to get into the cells and then nourishing the cell when it's in there as well. Even these helpful supplements should be started at half to a quarter of their regular dosage to maintain or minimize the die-off reactions that still can happen even with this. Because as the cells begin to release those toxins to get them out, Now, because the cell is getting more healthy, then the body has to flush them out. And again, if those detox pathways and the gut have not been strengthened and supported properly, then symptoms can get a lot worse. So in this case, again, you slow down as mentioned before. Back off, reduce dosages for a few days, wait for things to calm down. With nutrition, very, very important, always go organic. Our children with autism cannot handle more toxins such as pesticides, including glyphosate, which is sprayed. It's a Roundup weed killer. It's sprayed on our wheat crops and then on many of our crops. And then the livestock that we eats it. And so we eat their meat and then we're eating those pesticides. All of these toxic chemicals that are sprayed on vegetables and grains and that our livestock are eating, all of these things are going into our bodies as well. And they also tear up the gut lining. So this is really important. You're working hard to strengthen the gut, to heal the gut because it's the digestion isn't working properly. They even likely have something called leaky gut, where holes have actually been bored into the lining of the gut due to inflammatory foods, due to these toxic chemicals, and from pathogens like Candida. So they tear up the gut lining and they keep the gut lining from getting ill. We need to heal the gut from its damage to get rid of the excess bad bacteria, such as Candida, that bore holes in the gut lining, right? So all of these things are going to contribute to your child's gut not getting well. So if you haven't gotten my free food guide, please do so. naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7foods to the top 7 foods to eliminate from your child's diet today to begin seeing positive changes in health and behavior. I'm going to link to any show notes at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/198. This is episode 198. So just so you know, there will be some links there for you to be helpful. Diet changes alone can trigger die-off reactions as the bad bacteria stop getting fed the bad foods that allow them to thrive. So as you take away some of those 7 foods that are in my guide, then the bad bacteria isn't getting fed a lot of what they need to thrive, and the inflammation can calm down in the gut. So then this is good. When these bad bacteria die, the only thing is they're dying, which is what we want. We want them out of the body, but the body is again having trouble removing them fast enough if we don't have binders and detox support and other things, so supplements in the way to support the gut, support detoxification, and the detox pathway. So again, very important to have the support you need. Even while making the dietary changes alone, you will notice different behaviors in your child, very commonly from die-off reactions. Even fruit intake should be reduced, especially in the beginning, because if you're eating a lot of fruit has a lot of sugar, and those sugars are feeding the bad bacteria. So just remember to just kind of keep things to a minimum there. Consume a diet rich in vegetables, but I also like to say, watch your quantity of vegetables at first if your child's not used to them. If your child's been eating them, like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and leafy greens are wonderful, and they have that fiber that we really need and is so important. But if their digestion isn't working well, it can be hard to digest fiber. So make sure that they don't look like they're getting uncomfortable after they eat. So this is just something to maybe, if they're not eating vegetables yet, that you want to just give them smaller quantities to begin with. Sometimes a tablespoon of some steamed up or even pureed broccoli in the beginning can be enough, and then you watch to see how they handle it. Also important are organic proteins: grass-fed beef, line-caught fish, never farmed, organic poultry, and then good fats like olive oil and coconut oil. And know that as your child's body is still strengthening, that their liver and gallbladder are weak, and this can cause poor digestion. especially poor fat digestion. So even the good fats need to be started at lower quantities to be sure that your child doesn't start feeling sick or nauseous. Nausea is a very common sign after you eat, especially fats, of showing that your gallbladder is weak and needing some support. Beware of triggering foods, such as those with histamines, very, very big for children with autism, and oxalates and phenols. Now, I'm going to link in the show notes to an episode I did on this in the past. These can cause anxiety, loss of sleep. I also just want to note in there, which I'll get a little bit to environmental triggers in a moment, but histamines are also in chlorinated swimming pools. Chlorine, if again you're not using a quality water filter, you're going to get chlorine in your tap water, your child's drinking it, that can trigger it. If you're swimming in a chlorinated pool and you notice they get really hyperactive afterwards or can't sleep well that night, that's a clear sign for you to know that those histamine triggers those histamines have been triggered and that your child is having a reaction. So you want to avoid as many of these triggers. Again, stay away from environmental situations that may trigger cravings or other stress for your child. Avoid the bad foods in my food guide that I mentioned, pesticides, unfiltered tap water, toxic chemicals in your home, cleaning and healthcare products. A lot of people don't realize that the cleaning and healthcare products they're using have a lot of toxins in them. Make sure also your home is mold free, as mold biotoxins keep your child ill. This is a huge piece with autism that a lot of people miss. Get electromagnetic field protection. And I will be linking to a quality source for this in the blog post that goes along with this podcast, again at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/198. But that is essential. And the company I link to gives you a free 14-day trial. So you can try it on your home. I have it on my phone. I have it on my husband's and both of my kids' phones. So they're protected wherever they go as well. Normally we want our phone away from us, but when you have that on your phone, that protection, then it helps you. But they can be done on your home. And again, I'll link to it in the show notes, and their website is very thorough and their customer service is excellent. So you can get a clearer indication of how these can help you and your family and how it works. But electromagnetic field pollution today is a big, big part of an issue. And they say mold biotoxins, a lot of pathogens can grow faster, up to 600 times more prevalent in your body and your child's body when exposed to electromagnetic field pollution. So keep that in mind. This is something to take very seriously today. We've got all the 5G and we've got all of these cell towers all over the place and satellites, no matter, we could be up in the high Sierras in the mountains and, thinking we're in a clear, clean place, but there's satellites over our head. You want to make sure that you and your child get enough rest and sleep. Ensure you get enough sleep to allow the body to heal and regenerate is when we do a lot of our healing. Incorporate rest periods throughout the day to avoid overexertion. Fatigue is very common during detoxification, and the body is working very hard to flush out those toxins. Moderate exercise. When you're in a detox protocol and you're really kind of pushing your body a little harder for detoxification, that's when it's better to engage in light or moderate physical activities like walking and yoga to boost the circulation and reduce stress. You do want movement, very, very important. Okay? And get your child and yourself outdoors, which is very important too. And if you can, on the sand at the beach or in the dirt at the park where you're actually touching the earth, that is very beneficial as well. But you want to avoid intense workouts during detoxification because high intensity exercise can strain the body and can sometimes make it a little harder when you're doing detoxification. Mindfulness and stress management, emotional clearing techniques, and I'll link to things like my podcast episode on the emotion code work or tapping to calm. There are things that you can do to yourself at home, things that you can teach to your child that are very, very easy to do and are important to get not only to our conscious level, but also reach the subconscious and help calm the system and clear out old stuff that we carry around, but also to calm us in the moment, which is very important. Meditation. You can practice meditation or deep breathing exercises to calm the mind. Therapy, you may want to seek a therapy or therapist or counseling to address emotional and psychological aspects of detoxification. Have a support system in place. This is so important, especially as a parent of a child with autism. Surround yourself with supportive loved ones who can offer encouragement and assistance. And we know sometimes family, even well meaning, is not as supportive as they need to be, or they just don't understand the challenges of autism. There's a lot of blame. Everybody, people don't understand. We were even told, my husband and I were told, if we were not by our parents, but actually by professional therapists that we eventually left, that it was our fault. If we were firmer with discipline, our son wouldn't be behaving the way he was. Well, you don't have to listen to those naysayers and those negative people. You do want to have a community of support with like-minded parents who have children of autism of their own. Can be helpful. You can share experiences, receive support from others going through similar journeys, and simply people that get it. I remember not having this support on my journey at all. And now I provide that in my programs because I think it is one of the most important things to have a community of like-minded parents who are working to get their children to their best level of recovery possible, whatever that may be for them, but also having a community of support, being able to read in the forum where people ask me questions daily to know, to even just read, see what other people are going through and thinking, oh gosh, I'm not the only one, right? So that is important. Monitoring your child's progress on your journey. This is a many year process for optimum level of results in autism recovery. There's no quick fix, no band-aid. It takes time. So again, in my membership program, one of the things I always have parents keep a journal to track their child's physical and emotional state throughout the detox process. And we often can tend to forget, even I do, about my son, how he was, because he's so not like that anymore. We might forget how our child was once upon a time when, they had increased tantrums daily, and now they don't. They may have still a little bit of irritability, but mostly they're calm now. We forget how far we've come on the autism journey, and even those subtle differences can show us from especially several months ago to now, oh wow, my child is doing better. I just didn't really notice it because the changes were so slow and subtle over time. Looking back at past symptoms that have improved or even disappeared can be really helpful along the way, especially during die-off reactions that feel like you're not making progress when you actually have. Because our child can be doing much better and we're going along the process, but then all of a sudden they have a die-off reaction and they start a tantrum again where they haven't done it in a while. So that is what to be aware of, that this can happen on the journey. It's not a full setback. It doesn't mean that you haven't made any progress. It means that their body is now processing out something new, whether it's a co-infection, a pathogen, or or some toxicity, or all at once. And their body is still needing to strengthen over time. Remember, patience and compassion. You want to really be patient. Understand that detoxification is a gradual process and it requires time. Children with autism need compassion when they're going through difficult times, and sensory overload is very common during any time for a child with autism, but especially during detoxification. They can be excessive during die-off reactions. You need a quiet, calm space it's important for them. Even things like noise-canceling headphones can also help. You may have seen children with autism with these on. It blocks out all of the external noise so they don't have all of this external stimuli, just like a school classroom can cause a lot of that because there's so many things going on around them and they have a really hard time filtering out all of the excessive noise. So really just remember to be patient with them and give them the peace and quiet they need, and being patient. Also have self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and acknowledge the efforts that you're making for your child and how hard you have worked and are still working. Be sure to take care of yourself on this journey too. It's not always an easy one, so definitely be sure you get support. By incorporating these strategies, you can stabilize during detoxification, ensuring a smoother journey and a more successful outcome. If you need help, please see the post for this podcast where I'll link to the resources I have to help support you on this journey, including a step-by-step roadmap with support. They will be at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/198. I'm here to help you navigate this journey to autism recovery and make this process a smoother one for you. Simplify it, make it easier. It's never easy. Make it easier for you. And most of all, get the very best results possible for your child naturally and safely. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast. If you would please take a moment to give a quick review, it really helps us to reach more parents in need of those resources so we can all contribute to helping our community of parents with autism together. I appreciate that. And so do all of those who you help to find these resources as well, because we all need that support. Thank you so much for being here, as always, and for what you're doing for your child. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'm here for you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.